Hello, Lefty here again. Alright, issues with comic book characters, turn 3. And jumping from something such as Batman who never kills, and going to the next extreme, Wolverine. Oh boy, does that man kill. He chops people up. It's the complete difference, the complete opposite. Which is why in the crossover they combine the two. Um, issues with the Wolverine character. There's a lot of issues with the Wolverine character, but I have trouble bringing them up or even identifying them because I'm such a huge fan of the character. But unfortunately, we're gonna go to the one that's kind of the polar opposite of the one we just did. He kills a lot, like to a ridiculous degree. It's a little disturbing. As much as I poked fun at Batman for being nuts for doing what he does and why, Wolverine is equally insane. Granted, he has primal instincts and everything that are enhanced because of his powers that urge him towards that, but still, he's the one who gives in and decides to chop people up. Ugh. One of the major issues with the character is his backstory. It bounces all over the place depending on the continuity. And, for a long time, up until I think the mid 90s, it was more or less a complete mystery. So when you got the Weapon X program and everything, that was back and just telling you how Wolverine became Wolverine, but as they went further and further back, they showed more and more of his history and how he became what he was, how old he was, and the more I learned about his character, the less I liked. He was kind of always a bit of a douche. I hate to say it. Not a very nice person. I always assumed that because of the Weapon X program where he went through this process that gave him metal claws, the unbreakable skeleton, that would be what broke him, what turned him into this vicious person. No, he was always like that. Ugh. He kills a lot. You want to say in self-defense because a lot of the people he does kill are people trying to hurt him or kill him. Problem is they can't. One of the main things about Wolverine is that he has this insane healing factor, and the fact that he has indestructible skeleton. So it doesn't matter how much you pound on him, how much you hit him, he's not going down. Yes, I know there are ways around it, and there's this, and this examples explaining how you can work around, and you don't have to kill him to beat him, this. But essentially, the people I'm talking about most of the time are henchmen or C-list villains. No, they're trying to kill him with guns or hit him with something heavy. Yeah, that's not going to work. So his decision to get up and start chopping them up into pieces seems a little extreme because to him this should be what? But instead he gets angry and starts charging in and kills people. A lot of people. I'm not going to voice saying that these people shouldn't be killed, blah, blah, blah. They're bad guys, and this is the comic book. Or in a movie. No, these guys are meant to be killed. They're written to be killed. That's what they are. But it doesn't change the fact that he's killing people when he doesn't have to. He's not put in a position where he's in any real danger. Now, if you take it so that it's happening in a populated area or he's with someone, they're in danger, it becomes more understandable. But that's not always the case. And in fact, there are times where he actively seeks out groups of people and kills them. Now, these are all bad guys, of course, but it doesn't change the fact that he doesn't need to kill them. Doesn't need to kill them, stop them. In fact, most of the time, it's related to the Weapon X or something similar, which is highly illegal. even in that world. And, there's plenty of evidence around when he discovers them so that he can just, have them all tossed in jail. But he never takes that route. He just shink, shink. Ugh. Also, the character, for the most part, is kind of one note. He's a tortured loner. Yes, he takes part in the X-Men. Yes, he's been part of X Factor. He's been part of a lot of multiple team-ups. He does have a long history with a lot of characters. He has had love relations with multiple characters, but he always goes back to the same thing where he's alone, isolated. He's grumpy. He's not. He's unfortunately just not a very complex character, and the more you learn about him, the less complex he gets, which is very sad because he's such a fun character. Like I've been talking a lot of crap about him killing people, but when you're there reading and he's just going ape shit, it's a good moment. It's like watching a bad 80s action movie, and that's essentially what he is. He is the alpha male raging hard on I'm a macho man guy. That was his original character type, and they built it from there and made it a little bit more complex and tried to throw bits more in, but it just didn't really go anywhere. He has no true character. He has a few moments here and there where it's deep and you're emotional and you feel for him, and then he goes right back to rageaholic, I'm gonna murder people. Or he'll go back to, I'm just gonna be isolated, leave me alone, I don't want to deal with anything. It always returns to those. He never grows as a character and becomes something more. He recently died in the comics, but there was a story called Old Man Logan that has now been crossed over into the main continuity. Now that guy is taken over. He's the epitome of this because his history and everything is essentially the same thing. So after a certain tragedy, which I won't spoil for you guys, if you want to look it up, you should. Old Man Logan. Well, the first thing he does is go into isolation after this huge tragedy, and then spends, I don't know, 20, 30 years away from the life he knew. Now, during this time, he grew as a character, had a wife, has a family. I want to see more of that, because that's something we haven't really seen in that character. But no, we jump over all that and the potential character development and such with that and move on to the next big tragedy where he has to eventually get back to the point where he goes back to who he was. So we go from this to loner again, leave me alone, to a family period, which we don't see, to a set of circumstances which we'll have to return him back to raging monster. Really? This is the character arc here? Can we have something a little bit more, I don't know, new? Something that makes the character more than just the same one we've seen this entire time, except older, grumpier, and perhaps a little senile? Alright, this is going to be one shorter than the rest, but it's a huge issue with a lot of comic book characters in the sense of originality and growth. You don't see it a lot because when people start buying into the character, they bought into that character. So if you grow and change that character into something else, you might lose a lot of the old fan base, and you might not necessarily grab and gain a larger fan base with the newer developed character. So I understand to a point why certain things don't happen or why characters don't grow, but as someone who likes good stories, who reads, it's really disappointing at times. All right, next character. Next character. Well, we talked about Batman who never kills to Wolverine who kills all the damn time. Why don't we go somewhere else? Oh, another huge character that I'm an absolute fan of. Next time, Spider-Man.